Welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew.
I'm Andrea.
And it's time for another episode of Wrestle Rabble. We haven't done one of these in a while.
No, it's been a while.
Yeah, but I think it's because we've got some pretty big hot news going on in the world of pro wrestling right now.
Yep, but before we get started, big shout out to the Coldest Water, who provided these awesome insulated water bottles for us today.
If you guys check out our description in this YouTube video, you'll get a 10% off coupon, as well as a way you can enter a contest to win one of these bottles for yourself. So on Saturday morning, a huge bombshell of a news story dropped in the pro wrestling world, and that was the unbelievable story that Bray Wyatt was released inexplicably from WWE.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Seriously, WTF WWE, like...
What?
That was pretty much my reaction.
Yeah, no, that was my reaction when you told me.
I'm pretty sure this is a real-life reenactment of your reaction.
This kind of is, yeah. I was just like, what the fuck?
So this is like during the past few months where we've seen a lot of releases happening, and some really big, surprising releases, and... You know, one of those was not that long ago, was Braun Strowman. That was a pretty huge shock, because, you know, he's a big, big guy. He's been gaining popularity.
People love him.
People love Braun, yeah. No problems with the man. And then all of a sudden, Bray, out of nowhere.
That's just... Well, from what I understand, they were hinting that they were going to be bringing him back, too. There's a lot of plays there, and it was just like... Bray?
The last time we saw him was back at WrestleMania when he wrestled Randy Orton in a losing effort, which is a bizarre way to end their feud, but I guess it wasn't meant to be the end of their feud because Alexa Bliss was continuing her Fiendette gimmick, if you will. And so it made sense that they were going to bring him back for SummerSlam. That's kind of what you do at WrestleMania, is you have the SummerSlam rematch.
But no, seriously, this was a huge, huge shock because it's Bray Wyatt. He's done some of the best work for the WWE in the past several years.
Yeah, pretty much. He does some amazing stuff. I mean,
he's been nothing but good for them, ultimately. I mean, I know, of course, there's going to be hit or miss stuff, but ultimately he's been a fantastic character, and he's brought them in so much money.
That's kind of the big thing, is how much merch this man has sold and continues to sell.
I don't get it. He is one of the most creative people that they have. That's probably why, because they can't handle creativity.
It must be. Well, I think one of the main rumors that people are saying is the reason why he was cut was because WWE president Nick Khan cut him for budget reasons. Because that's what they're doing right now, is they're trying to save money, and they decided by cutting more talent, they could save money. And, because to be fair, last year, in one of the worst years for most other industries, WWE was way up. They had a record-setting year, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
In terms of their profit. And that's partly because they cut so many people. Like, when that pandemic first began, they did, there's spring cleaning, and then there's what they did, which was just a spring slaughter.
And that was disgusting, because they're making so much money. You know what? You want to save money? Cut some salaries from the people at the top. Don't fucking screw over your talent.
Well, we should add, too, this is when they basically, around the same time where they just sold the network, too. So they were actually cutting staff also. They cut that entire department base. I think they left on a skeleton crew just to make sure everything was handed over nicely to Peacock. But they were trimming so many things internally and also on the wrestling roster.
And, okay, you know what? That's fair. It's a fair thing to do. It makes sense. But at the same time, if you're making so much money, like... It's bullshit, especially because they're holding back talent. How long were they holding on to talent just so that they wouldn't go to other promotions, especially AEW? They've literally been holding, players hostage.
Pretty much.
And it's like, oh wait, no, now we're going to unceremoniously cut you. Screw you! It's like, what nonsense is that?
I feel like this is a case of WWE biting the hand that feeds them. Because, the two, obviously, WWE is making sure these wrestlers get their spotlight and all that stuff, but they're also making you all the money. So Bray Wyatt has been, as you said, one of their biggest moneymakers. So that's why it's just so mind-boggling. This guy, who is moving so much merchandise, who has some of the hottest action figures, especially, like when that Fiend figure first came out, that thing was nuts. Like, people were dying to get that, and still are trying to get that first release.
Yeah. Not to mention there was the Firefly Funhouse figure, too, that people had definitely been wanting.
That was a ringside exclusive.
Yeah, but... He just was bringing in the money, is really what it comes down to. He was moving a lot of merch. He was popular. He was worth several different figures. There are other wrestlers that, I'm sorry, but I don't need that many John Cenas. As popular as he can be, as loved as he can be, as hated as he can be, I don't need that many of them because they all more or less look the same.
But what's crazy to me is during San Diego Comic-Con, they showed us the Burnt Fiend figure that was a 3D rendering. So that means we're not going to ever get the Burnt Fiend figure. It's done. That's over. I don't think there's any other Fiends coming up. There might have been one maybe eventually in other lines, but they're all gone for now. Unless it was basically already out and about, which means his figures, you're going to probably see a little bit of a rush of folks starting to buy them all of a sudden as speculators. Yeah. Probably not worth it, guys. But, yeah, get the older one, if anything. But, yeah, here's one of the guys who's been with the company for 12 years. Because he was actually there for about 12 years. Yeah. From start to finish, including NXT, main card, and he did a lot.
Not to mention he's a legacy. Sorry, this just bothers me so much. I mean... why would you cut one of your most popular wrestlers?
Yeah, I mean, it's same thing with Braun. But I feel like Bray is above Braun even.
Yeah.
Bray's definitely bigger than Braun.
He is, but I did hear that Braun had some kind of contractual deal where he was making a serious boatload of money.
Yeah.
And at least in that sense, I can understand them saying, you know what, we love you, you're popular, but you're not that popular. You're not bringing us in as much money as your contract is worth, or something like that. You know, I can understand that. At the very least, I can understand, you know, them going to Braun and be like, yeah, no, you're just not bringing in the bucks that we had hoped you had been, so we're either renegotiating or we're going to cut you. But with Bray, it's a whole other story. You know?
Bray did so much. He elevated so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Wyatt family as well.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
really, look at how much merchandise that sold, how popular that was. I mean, you had the entire crowd lighting up their phones for his entrance as fireflies. I mean, this is it's not like he had lost any popularity at all. I mean, he's been taking some big risks with this Fiend character, and it's been paying off.
Yeah. Oh.
Big time for them. And even as we saw at WrestleMania with, you know, the Fiend and Randy Orton and their feud starting from the Rumble to Mania, you know, they were doing a lot with it. They had big plans. They brought in Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss, she's been really making big success because she's amazing in general, but...
No, but she talks about repeatedly how Bray is the one who helped her. They've been trying to work together for a really long time. It just never panned out. Now they finally were. From what I understand, they were both really happy about this. They wanted to work together in this capacity. You know, she's said nothing but good things about it. She even said, when the news broke, she was even tweeting out that she was absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
And I was also seeing other people saying, like, oh, you gave his gimmick to Alexa and then fired him, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't think that's what was going on, but I understand why it felt that way.
It does definitely feel a little bit that way.
And it's like, there is nothing right about this.
Yeah. And that's kind of the messed up thing about it, though, in a way, because, like, Alexa Bliss did kind of... She inherited the Fiend, if you will, and now she's kind of running with it as the person who has that Fiend character. So, I mean, it's like Bray did give her this pretty amazing gift, but luckily she is, you know, we have to admit, she's really talented on her own. She didn't need it, but this definitely brought a new ability. It showed off a lot more of what she could do. Yeah,
but it was also a really cool way of bringing in the intergender kind of stuff and having a lot of fun with that, because that's something that the WWE does not have, really. We don't have a lot of that anymore.
So it's been really successful. It's been awesome, and it's like been one of the best things about Raw is the Fiend and Alexa Bliss together. So now, I mean, it's clear there were plans at some point or something. Then whatever happened after WrestleMania, no one really knows. That's kind of where the big mystery is like what happened after Fiend versus Orton, and Orton won, which was also just such a huge shock. Made no sense in my opinion either. I don't think anybody knew what was going on with that, but Bray apparently wanted that, I guess. I don't know, but there was plans for something to happen, and Bray was going to make a return in some capacity. Just we don't really know what happened. I mean, there's rumors what we think might have happened, but no one's going to know the truth until Bray actually speaks up.
I do want to touch on one, which is one rumor that I've been seeing going around aside from the financial cuts, is that they were saying that Bray really hasn't been the same since Brody Lee passed because they were, you know, best friends. And that's really fair. It's really fair if he needed time. If he needed time off to grieve for, you know, losing someone he loved. Absolutely. But the WWE has been known to let people take time off. So I just want to put a stop to that, where unless Bray's planning on getting out of the business completely, which I doubt, you know, I think the rumor might have a little bit of validity in the sense that he needed some time off. But the cut, I don't believe it has anything to do with that. And I just want to put that out there because it's an important conversation. But I don't want it to be, you know, skewed in the wrong way towards this guy who's so clearly talented, who is clearly getting screwed over by the company.
Yeah, there's a lot of very cynical, pessimistic wrestling fans out there who will say, oh, Bray was weak-minded and garbage like that. So, no, it's not really the case. I'm sure that definitely affected him in a lot of ways as well. But, that's not really what's going on here. There's definitely more beyond that. And we're not going to know the truth for some time. No. But, you know, I will say on the plus side, Bray does have a 90-day no-compete, but that no-compete comes up a week before AEW Full Gear.
That's cool, but I don't know if he's a fit for AEW.
Well, I was thinking about that too, because a lot of folks are wondering, like, you know, could he go to AEW? Will he take over the Dark Order? And, you know, I feel like, to be honest, like, that's kind of the most obvious thing, is Bray could show up and take over the Dark Order. I don't see that happening, in my opinion.
He's not that obvious, I don't think.
Yeah, he's not that obvious. In my opinion, if Bray shows up on AEW, we're not going to get Bray Wyatt, and we're not going to get The Fiend. No. We're going to get something completely different.
I think so. I could definitely see that. I can agree with you on that one.
I think we're going to see something completely different. And what I would love to see, honestly, is, like, not the Wyatt family. I don't want to see that rehashed in AEW. That's a terrible idea. I don't want to see him come over and take AEW's Dark Order, because that was Brody's thing.
Yeah.
So I want him to come in, make a whole new thing, make a whole new stable, join up with Bo Dallas, get his brother back in there.
Yes.
Because everybody's always wanted to see those two together.
Yeah.
So you got to sign Bo Dallas. And then he forms a team with Malachi Black. And we get something a little bit better than the Wyatt family. I'd say we're going to get like 3.
We'd get something twisted as hell.
And I'm sure they can bring in, there's also, we're going to talk who's even on the roster right now that would be great to work with him. Abaddon. She would be amazing because Abaddon is perfect for that. Or there's plenty of other folks that Bray could take under his wing, under his flock, if you will, like Raven. Build a whole new, really awesome killer stable, be a main eventer there, because he is an attraction. He will put butts in seats.
He will bring in the money.
And I should say, let's say if Braun ever shows up in AEW, Braun and him don't need to be in the same stable either. Like, they could be doing their own things separately.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing. But as for Bray, he can do whatever he wants, because Bray is always super talented. So I remember there's one night on Raw, and, keep in mind, Bray was working as a heel for a very, very, very long time. But there was one night where, for some reason, they had just turned him babyface. And I think the plan was actually keep him babyface for a while. But he turned babyface, and he wrestled completely differently. And the way he communicated with the crowd was completely differently. It was just an instantaneous thing that snapped right away. Like, the audience got it, he knew how to work a different style because of it.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I think, Bray can do anything. He's super creative. He has amazing ring sense.
He is literally one of the most talented people that was a part of WWE in recent years.
Like, there's a term you see a lot in like mixed martial arts and boxing. They call guys ring generals and ring generalmanship. I don't really think they use that as much in wrestling, but Bray was one of those guys and is one of those guys. He is a genius. Maybe a little bit misunderstood, because I did hear there's rumors of like the relationship he had with Vince where it's pretty hot and cold. That's because I think from what I remember hearing stories of Bray in the past, like I'll tell you a good one about Brody Lee. Brody did on the AEW podcast where he talked about, or it might have been Renee Paquette's show, but he talked about like when he got brought into the stable with the Wyatt family, Bray basically talked to him on the phone. They hadn't even met before. Yeah. Bray talked to him on the phone and just like talked 30 minutes straight all about it, and that was it. And he just said he was like so charismatic. He just knew that this guy was like gonna do it, and even if it was like a terrible idea, he was gonna commit so good to it. He was gonna make it work no matter what. So that's the kind of guy Bray is. So wherever he goes, it's gonna be a real lucky gift to that audience and that company. Mark my words, AEW by the fall or by the winter, when all these contracts, all these 90-day competes are done. Oh my
god, I cannot wait.
They are going to be, and they've got more TV time too nowadays. So, I mean, they've got big money behind them. I know Vince is saying they're not competition because it's not like the Ted Turner days. No, it's totally different. You've got Tony Khan money now, and you've got Tony Khan's connections. It's a very different game right now.
And I'm sorry, Vince, you really are out of touch if you don't think that the fans are going to come to AEW to see some of these players.
And I will add to on like one last note to wrap this thing up here, and kind of touch on a point earlier about budget cuts, things like that. There's been a lot of talk of Vince wanting to sell WWE, and most likely completely selling it, being done with it. Maybe the NBC is going to buy it or anything like that. Who knows? So it seems like some of the rumors are going on too that they're trying to basically maximize how much money they're going to make by cutting more talent also.
Which is, again, that's some serious bull.
And all it's doing is feeding AEW. So basically, this video started off about how pissed we are at Bray Wyatt getting released, but now we're like, AEW's going to come in and they're going to be number one.
Is that what you want, Vince? Is that really what you do? Are you like subtly sabotaging your own company so you can sell it off, make a boatload of money, and then pass it on to another generation? And are you screwing over your family by doing this? That's a really good question. How is your family coming into play? Are you screwing over your daughter and son-in-law? I mean, we all thought that Triple H was the next in line. So what's going on there? This opens up aside from the fact that we're furious about what happened to Bray, this opens up a whole new line of questioning in terms of the future of WWE.
Yeah, this video really started one way, ended another, but...
Not where we expected.
Yeah. Now, moral of the story here is like Bray Wyatt released WWE, WTF, what are they doing? What are they thinking? And especially, man, we didn't even mention, what if, in a few months, Daniel Bryan shows up and CM Punk shows up? And then you get Bray Wyatt, and then maybe you get Braun or anybody else who's been released. I mean,
What?
Yeah, maybe next week we could do a video about how everybody's complaining, AEW is just getting WWE's rejects. That's really not the case, but...
No, they're getting all of WWE's talent.
Yeah, so maybe that's going to be next week's video, but yeah, that's this week's edition of Wrestle Rabble. Bray Wyatt, we wish you the best in your future endeavors, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
And while you have this time off, have fun with your woman and your kids. You got a bunch of cuties. Enjoy the time off.
Why'd you become an old Jewish lady?
I don't know, I didn't mean to.
Is that your wrestling gimmick?
No, I didn't need to. I'm gonna redo that.
No, I'm gonna leave it in.
No, I'm gonna redo that.
Are you Gertrude Wyatt?
Yes, I'm good. I'm Gertrude Wyatt. Why'd you hurt my grandson? Vince McMahon, we need to talk.
Is this your new gimmick for our videos from now on?
No.
It's amazing. If you want to see more of Gertrude, let us know in the comments. So that's it for this edition of Wrestle Rabble. Let us know what you think about this, and let us know what you think about the Bray Wyatt situation and what you want to see him do next, because he definitely has plenty of options.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So until next time, I'm Matthew.
I'm Gertrude Wyatt.
That's Gertrude Wyatt. We'll see you next time.